If you've ever stared at a compliance checklist and thought, what the heck is the difference between a DPIA, a PIA, and a TIA? You're not alone. Most people waste hours Googling this, only to get lost in legal jargon. In this video, I'm going to cut through all the noise. In the next 10 minutes, you'll understand exactly what each one means, when to use them, and how they fit together, without ads, fluff, or confusion. And here's the kicker. Once you see this system, you'll never mix them up again. So let's simplify the most overcomplicated part of privacy compliance. Starting now. Have you ever been in this situation your boss, your client, or even a regulator asks, have you completed the DPIA? And in your head, you're like, wait, do they mean DPIA, PIA, or is this one of those TIA things? I've been there too, and I'll be real with you. The acronyms are intimidating. They sound almost identical. But here's the thing. Mixing them up isn't just embarrassing. It can actually cost your business huge amounts of money, wasted effort, and even put you on the wrong side of compliance law. And that's why today, I'm going to break this down in a way you'll never forget. Not with boring theory, but with simple stories and examples. By the end, you'll walk away with a clear mental map of DPIA versus PIA versus TIA, a system for instantly knowing which one you need, and the confidence to explain it to anyone, your boss, your team, or even a regulator, without breaking a sweat. But here's the twist. Along the way, I'll also show you how all three of these tools connect. Because once you see the bigger picture, compliance stops being a headache and actually becomes a competitive advantage. Think of these three assessments, DPIA, PIA, TIA, like three characters in a story. One is about protecting people, one is about protecting organizations, and one is about protecting transfers. I'll introduce each character, tell their story, and then bring them together in a system you can use tomorrow. But before we dive into that, let's quickly tackle the biggest misconception that throws everyone off. Most people think these assessments are just paperwork to make lawyers happy. But here's the truth. They're decision-making tools. They're designed to protect you, your customers, and your business, if you use them the right way. Let me give you an example. A company once launched a new app that tracked user location 24/7. They skipped a proper assessment. 6 months later, they faced a privacy scandal, massive fines, and lost customer trust. If they had done a DPIA, they would have spotted the risks early. That's not paperwork, that's strategy. So let's start with the first character,
If your
the
project
DPIA.
touches personal data. DPIA stands for Data Protection Impact Assessment. Think of it like this. If your project touches personal data in a way that could impact people's rights, you need to do a DPIA. Imagine you're building a healthcare app. You'll be storing sensitive medical data. That's high risk. The DPIA is your chance to ask, what's the risk to the person? What's the worst case scenario if this data leaks? How can we prevent that? It's like a safety check before launching a roller coaster. You don't skip it. DPIA equals Project Risk Assessment for people's privacy. Trigger, new project, new data processing, or high-risk data. Focus, the individual's rights. And here's the key. Under GDPR, DPIAs are legally required in some cases, so if you're operating in or around Europe, you can't ignore this one. But what about the PIA? That's where a lot of people get stuck. PIA stands for Privacy Impact Assessment. At first glance, it looks just like a DPIA, but here's the difference. It's broader, more flexible, and often used outside of Europe. Where the DPIA is laser-focused on individual rights under GDPR, the PIA is more like a company's internal tool. It asks, how does this project align with our privacy principles? What risks are there to the business? Are we meeting customer expectations? Think of a US-based e-commerce company. GDPR might not apply directly, but customers still care about privacy. They run a PIA to check. Are we collecting too much data? Are we using it transparently? Do we have safeguards if there's a breach? The beauty of a PIA is that it's not tied to one law. It's adaptable. In fact, a lot of organizations use PIA as their umbrella assessment, and then run DPIAs when GDPR requires it. PIA equals Privacy Health Check for the organization. Trigger, any project that touches personal data. Focus, business plus user trust. So now you see, DPIA protects people under strict law, PIA protects organizations more broadly. But what about the TIA? That's where things get even trickier. TIA stands for Transfer Impact Assessment. This one came into the spotlight after a huge legal case, Schrems II, where the EU basically said, you can't just send European data anywhere in the world and hope for the best. You need to prove it's safe. That's where the TIA comes in. Let's say you're a European company using a US-based cloud provider. Before you transfer that data, you need to check. Does the destination country have equivalent privacy protections? Are there risks from government surveillance? Do we need extra safeguards like encryption? The TIA is like a border control officer. It doesn't care about your project or your company's policies. It cares about the transfer, where the data is going and whether it will be safe there.
So here's the big aha moment. Think of it like 3 concentric circles. PIA, the broad circle, covers any project with personal data. DPIA, the sharper circle inside, required when risk is high under GDPR. TIA overlaps when that data crosses borders. Together, they're not competing tools. They're a system. Start with a PIA. If you're in GDPR territory or dealing with high risk, add a DPIA. If data leaves the country, add a TIA. Once you see it this way, the confusion disappears. I simplify data privacy and compliance. Subscribe for more. Because at the end of the day, compliance shouldn't slow you down. It should give you confidence. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.